Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. So today I'm going to do a look. I've got the hairband back in because I've got a bit of a bad hair day going on. But I thought I'd do a get ready with me, and I hope you can join me. And when you all join me, I'm going to show you my two Tom Ford foundations. One's too dark and one's too light. But never mind, I'll have to mix them now. Good morning, Jess. How are you this Saturday morning? And I've got my cup of tea. So I'm going to show you these two shades. Good morning, Shahina. Hello. Yes, I'm not too bad. Obviously, I've had better weeks in my life, but I'm fine. And if I talk about it too much, I'll start crying and all my makeup will come off. But never mind, I'm not going to do that. Good morning. I'm a newbie to your channel. Can I join you? Of course you can, Jackie. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Hello, Jackie Kempster. Hello there, Thorndyke. And hello, Jess. Yes, the more the merrier. We love newbies. Yes. So everyone say hi. I'm just dropping stuff. Everybody say hi to Jackie. I'm sure they will. All the Ali Pallies are so friendly. It's a lovely little community. Right. There you go. They're all saying hi to you, Jackie. Lovely. Right. I'm going to show you these Tom Ford foundations. Good morning, Thorndyke. Let me just say good morning to everybody. So good morning, Jess. Good morning, Shahina. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Thorndyke. And, that's fine. Oh, we like to welcome people. It's lovely. Thank you for subscribing to me. Thank you so much. Every new subscriber is important to me. Every single one. I just love it. And I just noticed in all the chaos going on this week with my dad being unwell that I've hit 1,400 subscribers. Good morning, Stacey. So thank you, everybody, for that. I've got to 1,400. I can't believe it. I don't know the exact figure, but it said I've got 1,400. Yeah. Right. Now, I went and got this Tom Ford foundation, which I love, but it was slightly on the dark side for me. Fine, once I blended it in. Let me just show you this. Can you see? It just slightly on the dark side for me. So I looked at the other foundations. I went to go and try them out in a department store and couldn't get parked. So I thought I'm just going to have to risk it again. If I go the next shade down, it looks too close. Good morning, Natasha. So I then got natural, which is too light. But you know what? I give up now. I'm just going to mix them and they'll be fine. This is natural. That's about 2 shades below. And that's too light. That's too dark. So I'm obviously something in the middle. And I just couldn't get to a shop to try it out. But it's fine. I can mix them. And this is going to be fine for the summer. And what I did yesterday is I put this on the light points of my face and used it as a concealer. And then I put this around the periphery of my face, which is a great way to mix your foundations if you want. So I'm just going to let me blend that in. It won't matter too much. So this Tarte foundation brush is brilliant for these foundations, for stick foundations. So I'm just going to put that on and I'll show you how I mix them. How's my dad? My dad is still a bit the same, to be honest. He has moments where he opens his eyes and he looks round and he strokes my fingers, which is really sweet. He hasn't spoken yet, and he's very, very sleepy. And they said to expect that because he's had a massive stroke and it tires them out. I did actually used to work on a stroke unit. And they keep saying to me, I probably don't need to tell you any of this. And I said, you do, because it's my dad. And I may have said these things a million times to patients years ago. But when your own dad is there, it's a completely different thing. And I'm glad that I'm with you, all of you guys, because it's actually a week to the hour that I found my dad. I may not be able to go into this too much because I'll start crying, but it was just an horrific shock because I'd put my dad to bed the night before. And when I say I put him to bed, he'd walked up to his bedroom. He was doing really well. He'd had a small stroke, but he was recovering really quickly, just like he'd recovered from the brain surgery, and gone to bed, and he was putting his eye drops in and he was kind of missing. And I said, come on, Dad, I'll help you. And we said good night. It was absolutely fine. The next morning, I just found him unable to move, unable to speak to me. Thank you. Thank goodness you. Do you know what? The psychologist keeps saying that to me, because the first thing you always do in a shock is you look for a way to blame yourself. And I know in my head that that's just silly. But what kept torturing me for the first couple of days was how long was my dad lying there before I discovered him? And there's no way of knowing, because he went to bed. He sent a text to his brother at 11:30 at night. So somewhere between 11:30 and 10 o'clock. My sister's just texted to say she's on her way, so I'll have to get on with this. And 10 o'clock the next morning, it happened to my dad. And the thought of him lying there and me not knowing, and I gave him a lie-in because he'd been so busy the day before and been overdoing it a little bit, that I thought, do you know what, I'll let him lie in before I take his medication up. So normally I'd take it up at 9, but I thought I'd let him lie in. And it was just horrific finding him. I mean, the other two situations were nowhere near as horrific, but I still can't quite get my head around the fact that the person I saw in the bed that morning was the same person as went to bed the night before. So much so that during the week, my partner left his phone here, and I went to pick up the phone to call my dad because I knew he'd rush round with a spare phone. And in my head, my dad's still in London and he's getting on tube trains and he'll rush to the rescue, and he's not. It's bizarre. But anyway, thank you so much for all your best wishes. It's going to be a tricky time and it's going to be a long road back. But you know what? My dad bounced back really quickly after the first two. This is going to take longer, but I'm confident that my dad will do it. Thank you very much. Anyway, I better get on with this because, one, I don't want to cry. Thank you. Thank you. And secondly, my sister's on her way. So I'm going to show you how I mix these foundations. So you can just mix them and just whatever. But there is another way that you can do it, is if you put the light one, the one that's a little bit too light. So if you've got a foundation that's too light and another one that's too dark, you can just mix them on the high points of your, so you put the light one on the high points of your face like this, and you can put a bit up there. So like you're highlighting, really. And then you can put the dark one everywhere else. And it just gives you kind of the natural, it starts you with a bit of a contour. So then I'll put my dark one here. Look, and this is so good. You can literally just swipe it like this. And this is another way to mix your foundations if you've got one that's too dark and one that's too light. And then you just pat it in or buff it in, and it will just naturally bring out the high points on your face. I'm just doing the light first, and then I'll mix the dark. Makeup artists often do this. They use two foundations in this way. Yeah, because everybody thinks when they, thank you, everybody thinks when they mix foundations, they just mix the two together, and you can do that. But this is another way of doing it, which means that you start your contour before you've even put your foundation on. Obviously, you just got to make sure that you blend them together. But it works because it gives you a bit of a contour as well. blend those bits in on the top of my eyelids. And then I'm just going to put a bit more of the light one. So this is, I've got honey and natural. Natural is 6 and honey is 7.7. So if you're thinking about getting this, I love this foundation. I'll tell you what it feels like. I'm just putting a bit of extra around here because this is where I get my pigmentation. And I'm just going to... Does it feel heavier than liquid? Yes, it does. I'll tell you what it feels like, this foundation. If any of you use, like me, Charlotte's Magic Night Cream, when you put it on, it feels like the way your skin feels in the morning. Not when you just put it on, that would be too sticky. But the way that your skin feels in the morning, just incredibly moisturised. But you do probably need to set it a little bit. I haven't heard back from her. To be honest, I haven't checked this morning. So they may have got back to me this morning. But I just haven't been able to keep chasing them. And they just haven't got back to me. I just said, I'm very disappointed. No reply from that. And then I said, have you got an update for me? Now, I'm just putting the lighter one on as a concealer, because this works as a concealer. Any medium to full coverage foundation will also double up as a concealer if you pat it on like this. Because all the concealer is a full coverage foundation, really. That's all it is. It's just marketed in a different way. Now, as I say, because this is quite moisturising, you need a powder that is sort of quite mattifying, because otherwise it gives you a lovely glow. But it does need setting a bit, because otherwise it's going to transfer. The only thing about this is it is a bit transferable. Yes, not quite right for... Definitely, and mix them up and try them out in different ways, or use them as... If you've got a full coverage foundation that's too light for you, use it as a concealer under your eyes to give you eye brightening. It never, you've always got to use... You're struggling a bit with blending your Pat McGrath, then yes, they're not as easy as Charlotte Tilbury's. Definitely not as easy. I'll have to do a Pat McGrath eyeshadow. At the moment, I just feel like I'm so annoyed with them. I just don't want to do a Pat McGrath. I'm not normally like that. But when you're angry, I'm so angry about what's happened to my dad. And you just wait for somebody to make you angry so that you can let them have it. And that's how I feel about Pat McGrath right now, is right, you're going to have it. You deserve it. I can point all my anger at you. But yeah, I will do a Pat McGrath. I've got hair. That's the other thing about these very emollient foundations, is that hairs start to get stuck. It is totally unacceptable. Just, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we've sold out now, but we'll try and find you one. We'll try and find you one. I think actually, do you know, I said 66. I think it was 88. I'm sorry, my head's mush. But it was an eyeshadow quad and 2 lipsticks. And as I said, the lipsticks are lovely, but it was the quad I wanted. And I thought, oh, it's in a set with 2 lipsticks, so I'll get that. And now I've got 2 lipsticks that actually I wouldn't have ordered. Right, I'm just going to put this Airbrush Flawless Finish powder on of Charlotte Tilbury's. Now actually, I've just done something different, because I've got 2 shades of the Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. I've got the one that Charlotte recommends for under the eyes, which is shade 1, and I've got medium, which is shade 2. So where I put that, the high points of the lighter lighter foundation, if I put the lighter powder, I've basically contoured and highlighted my face before I've even put any cheek colours on. It'll just give you a subtle highlight. It'll just look like your skin rather than you putting a glowy highlighter over the top. So it's just a way of just contouring before you start. Because if you think about it, what is bronzer? What is contour? It's a powder that's a bit too dark for you. That's all it is. So, you know, if you've got a setting powder that is too dark for you, you can use it as a bronzer. Once you realise that pigment is pigment, it frees you up so much to use up all sorts of things. I'll have to catch up with the rest of the video as I have to pick my daughter up. No problem. Don't worry. That's why you can have it on replay. I'm just putting the darker one now, where I put the dark foundation. Some of it just went up my nose and down the back of my throat. Ugh. Right, okay. So there is my powder. And I thought today I'd do a Charlotte Tilbury palette. And I fancy doing this one. The Luxury Palette of Pops in Celestial Eyes, because it is so easy. And my sister's on her way and she's going to turn up and she doesn't like being on camera. My sister is very different to me. She's quite shy. And when we go and see my dad, I'm like, hi, Dad. And I'm dancing and stuff to get him to look. And my sister's sitting there thinking, oh, God. But, you know, I'm trying to stimulate my dad because when he opens his eyes, we were playing some Bollywood music and I started doing this in front of him because I'm trying to stimulate him to think, what's she doing? What's she doing? Let me keep my eyes open a bit more. My sister's sitting there going, oh, God. That is my sister and me. It's really funny. But my dad was smiling. Natasha, I'll have to catch up. Oh, right. A live chat feature. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to put a lot of this on with my fingers. So I'm going to use this palette of pops in Starlight. Now, the reason is I'm not just being lazy. These are pop shades. And if you know, when Charlotte does her tutorials using her pop shades in the quads, she puts them on with her fingers. So I don't know why so many people are applying this with brushes, because they've got emollient in them that works better with the fingers. So it's not just about me being lazy, but actually the pop shades work better when you put them on with your fingers than when you put them on with a brush. So I'm just putting the lightest pink shade on my mobile lid. I'm going to make this really simple. And when my sister turns up, I know she's going to want this one because she's had her eye on it. So this is the prime shade. Your papa had a stroke, but he was able to recover, except he lost his sight in his right eye. Do you know what, Shahina? That's what happened to my dad for the first time. So he had his surgery on his head after a bleed. Then he had this tiny stroke and he lost kind of left vision. And but he was recovering quite well. And then he had the massive one because they basically, the tablets that they give them to prevent having a stroke, which he'd been on for a number of years because he's got other risk factors to have him having a stroke. They thin the blood, but they couldn't put him back on those because he'd had a bleed. So they were waiting for 2 weeks to do another scan to check that the bleed had all cleared up so that they could give him the blood thinners to prevent another stroke, but he didn't quite make it. So yeah, it was just absolutely unlucky. Right, I'm just going to put on now the enhanced shade, and I'm doing it all with my fingers, and I'm just going to put that on half of my mobile lid and a little bit up into the socket, because these definitely work better with your fingers. Pop shades work better with the fingers. Try it with the brush if you like putting it on with the brush, but I think pop shades, palette of pops, and the pop shades in the quads just work better with fingers. So I'm putting that on half my mobile lid. See how easy that is? And now I'm going to go in with the smoke shade. Thank you so much. It's quite tiring because you go and basically you have to sit and wait. He'll have moments. There might be kind of 10-minute stretches where he opens his eyes and looks around and nods his head. And then, I don't know whose phone is ringing then. And then he goes back to sleep because they said it is like sort of running a marathon, having a stroke. It really knocks you out. And then your brain is having to process so much information that it normally just did automatically. But now it's having to really think hard. It's wearing. So he'll have these moments where like 5-10 minutes he'll wake up and I have to kind of bombard him with messages from friends, and I've told his friends, everybody says, is there anything I can do? And you want people to feel like they're being useful. And I said, yes, there is. Send him a voicemail message and I can play them. So I stack them up for when he's awake, and then we have a chat, and then he goes back to sleep, and then you're sitting there for hours until he gathers enough momentum again to open his eyes and try and communicate. They were saying, a funny story, they were saying the speech and language therapist said, your dad is nodding his head, but I'm not sure that he understands. It might be a nod of the head just as an acknowledgement, but he may not understand the question. And I thought, right, I'm going to test that. So yesterday I said to my dad, Dad, is your name Sanand? His name's Sanand. I said, is your name Sanand? And he started to smile and he kind of did a half chuckle. And I said, Dad, is your name Peter? And he just didn't move his head. So I thought, yes, he understands. He definitely understands. I think he understands, because he definitely kept still when I said, is your name Peter? And when I said, is your name Sanand, he laughed at me. So I think he does. Which in a way is good, but in a way is terrifying to think that he's understanding everything and can't speak. But there you go. I can't think about that for too long because that's just too horrifying to think about. But I'm glad I'm here with you all because, as I say, I'll be thinking, oh, a week ago this week I found him, and it was horrific. So I've just been jabbering away, but I've just put in the smoke shade into the socket, and I've put a little bit under there, and I've done it all with my fingers. And then I've put this one up here under the brow bone, and then I'm going to finish off with the pop on my mobile lid, right in the centre there, just actually on the whole mobile lid, just to make it really pop. As soon as my sister arrives, I'm going to have to go, but I'm not going to do mascara because that's like watching paint dry. I'm going to put my Aldi mascara on, and I'll put my Daniel Sandler blusher on now, and then I'll put on some lipstick. And I was going to put on the red, but what do people think? The red that I wore yesterday, I loved it. Do you think that it will go with the purple look that I've now got on? Or should I do something else? Let me know. And if I haven't answered all your comments. I'm going to look back later. Way better. He understands that his intellect is there. The rest can come. He will feel very much safer knowing you are there when he wakes up and that you're looking out for him. Red. You think red is okay? Good, because I want to put on the red. Yes, it is. And I'm comforted to know. When I found him, I said, Dad, if there's a way that you can understand or communicate with me, can you let me know? Because the ambulance people were asking how alert he was. And he did pick up his left arm and he squeezed my hand. So I think he does know. Right, let me put this Daniel Sandler blush on, and then the red Lisa Eldridge lipstick, because I love it. And then I'm going to get going, because otherwise my sister's going to arrive and she does not want to be on camera. By the way, a couple of people in the stroke unit, that relatives, not patients, obviously that would be inappropriate, but relatives of patients in the stroke unit have said that they'd be quite receptive to a makeover in the family room when we're having a break and our loved ones are asleep. And there's a lady there that's got quite fair skin, and I know a lot of you watching me are fair, and the art therapist there is dying for me to make her up. So I might take my kit one day and do up some people in the family room while our dear ones are sleeping away. Yeah. What do you think? Would you like that? If I can do it. I'm not sure I'd be able to live stream it. I might just have to film it, because it's an NHS Wi-Fi and it really doesn't allow for very quick streaming, but I could do a video in there and make somebody up. And I know a lot of you like to see what things look like on fair skin. So if any of you got particular requests about, I'd love to see what blah looks like on fairer skin than yours, let me know below, because then I can put it on this person. She's also got a dad who's in there who had a stroke last week. Same thing, really. And yeah, so do let me know. Yes, you have fair skin, so do let me know, because she's got fair skin and I think she wants me to make her up, and I can do it on her and show you what it looks like. Now, let me get my lipstick. What have I done with the lipstick? It was here somewhere. There it is. Such a mess on this table. Such a mess. Right, and I need my lip liner, and then I should just about finish before my sister arrives. So, this is Kiss and Tell by Charlotte Tilbury. Now, this lipstick I put on yesterday as well, as you know. I told one of you, it lasted all day. It feels like you've not got anything on your lips. And it is so transfer resistant. It's mad. It really is. It doesn't feel like you're wearing lipstick. It's so good. So this is Lisa Eldridge, and it's called Velvet Morning. And I got it in a set with 3 lipsticks in this bag. You'd love to see Lisa Eldridge lipsticks on fair skin. I can do that. Right. Jack, mind your language. Stop. No, stop. So that is Velvet Morning. Isn't it lovely? What are the other colours in the bag from Lisa Eldridge? So the other colours are Velvet Jazz. I'll show you on my hand, which I've worn a lot. This is the darkest one, which would go really well with this look as well. That's Velvet Jazz. And then Velvet Ribbon, which is this one. So Velvet Ribbon is more of a classic blue-red. Beautiful. So think kind of MAC Ruby Woo or Charlotte's Red Carpet Red is that one. And then that one is the darker one. You love them all. I know, they're gorgeous. The formula is amazing. It just feels like nothing on your lips. Nothing at all. It's absolutely fantastic. You haven't tried them? Oh, right. Yeah, I would definitely recommend them. They do last all day. They just don't feel gloopy on the lips. You know, like lipsticks often feel... This feels moisturized. It's weird because it feels moisturizing, but it feels powdery at the same time. Well, velvet is a good description. It just feels like you've got nothing on the lips. It's bizarre. So anyway, I'm going to head off now because my sister's about to arrive, and I'm going to try and tidy up my hair. And I will see you all very soon. I will do the Tom Ford... well, I suppose I've done that already now, haven't I? But let me know about your requests for fair skin, and I will try and join you. I'm thinking up a schedule that's going to work in the next few weeks, because I have to visit my dad when my son is at school, which sort of knocks out the day. But I'm going to get a schedule going because I like to get a routine, and I think the routine will help me, and it will just, obviously it'll help you, but it'll help me to keep going. And I really do love you all, and really thank you all for your lovely support. And you really do keep me going, and I can't go on anymore because I'll start crying and then all my makeup will come off. I'm at it nearly again. Can you see that? I'm not doing this. All right, take care. Have a lovely day. I'm sorry I haven't answered all your comments. I'm going to look at them now, and I'll answer them in the pinned comments. And any comments you put, I know I'm really behind, but I'm catching up with them. Just bear with me, and I'll get to them soon. Take care. Have a lovely day. Love you all. Mwah!